Hello mga ka-Buttercup! If you are new to our channel, please like and subscribe. Enjoy the rest of the video!
Okay, so good day everyone. We are here for us to be able to discuss about what are the different types of business letter and how to make a business letter. So, according to survey, 80% of the business people stated that poorly written materials waste a significant amount of time. So, in our company, we have observed that there are a lot of people who don't know how to write a proper business letter. So we and the higher team, we've decided that we will conduct this seminar or this meeting for everyone in the company to know how is it to write a business letter. I would like to give the floor to Miss Miel for her to discuss on what are the context of our meeting.
Okay, so thank you, Miss Orozco. So let me first introduce myself. My name is Rhea Mae Miel. So your speaker for today, one of your speaker for today. Yeah. So before we start the presentation, let me first give you a glimpse of every part of our presentation. So first part will be the definition or a short description on what a business letter is. So the second presenter or the second part of the presentation will be the proper usage of a business letter. So the third part of the presentation will be the sharing of knowledge on the types of business letter and how to apply it in a specific scenario. And on the fourth part of the presentation, it will be the discussion of the important parts of a letter, and then the last presenter will give you a practice workshop, and it will be discussed further by the last presenter. So to start our presentation, so next please. Okay, thank you. So before I start, let me ask you a question first. So what comes to your mind when you hear the term business letter? So the entire concept of business letters might seem completely old to you. So you might wonder if people even send those white envelopes with fancy letterheads anymore, or if it's just an outdated concept replaced by emails and messages. So we will know that later. So what is business letter? So business letter is a letter which is written in formal language, usually used when writing from one business organization to another, or for correspondence between such organization and their customers, clients, and other external parties. So these letters can be used for professional correspondence between business clients, employees, stakeholders, as well as individual. So truth be told, in the business world, printed letters are valuable and significant part of every communication strategy. So according to study, an office worker receives an average of 121 emails per day. So this means that your letter has more chances of being read when it's delivered via mailbox instead of your inbox. So for example, when you are applying a job, so you are required or you are asked to submit an application letters together with your resume for to highlight your skills, and also for them to know something about you, or even when you want to take a leave from your work, so you are also required to pass or submit requesting no no documentation requesting your leave of absence. And also, when you are want to resign from your job, so you are also required to submit a resignation letter. Or even when you want to tell a potential client about your product, or you want to collaborate with another company, or convince someone to attend your event, or just give a thank you note, a well written business letter can stand out. So, also, um, before you can write a business letter, it is also important to know to whom you are sending your business letter, because the overall style of the letter will depend on the relationship between the parties concerned. So next, please. Okay, thank you. So why do we have to know which type to use? So the most important elements we need to ensure in any business letter is accuracy. So when businesses write letters, it's important that it's really line. So business letters often contain the eight C's, which is the clarity, conciseness, consideration, courtesy, concreteness, cheerfulness, directness, and character. However, the most important in all these eight C's is the correctness. So a business letters must always be accurate. So this means ensuring every word within the document contains accurate facts and figures. So this includes proofreading the letter to check for the grammar and spelling mistakes. However, one of the aspects of writing a business letter that requires the most accuracy is knowing which type of business letter you are writing. So, to discuss the different types of business letter, I will give you the floor to Miss Michi Paon. Okay, thank you.
So, good evening, everyone. So, there are many types of business letter. So, I will only give you some of it, and it is applicable to all types of businesses. So, first is the letter of complaint. So, as you can see in the details provided, when you say letter of complaint, it is a written document in which you have to formally write your complaint about something like a certain product or services or something that you are not satisfied. For example, you have a problem because you are not treated well by the customer service or in the HR department. So you have the right to write a letter of complaint. So the purpose of this letter is to address the problem and seek for a productive resolution. And also, this letter is applies to anyone as long as the complaint is necessary or it has a sense. So next, we have a resume cover letter. So a resume cover letter is a written document commonly submitted with a job application outlining the applicant's credentials and interest in the open position. So, a resume cover letter is serves as your highlight of your documents and it is alongside with your CV or resume. The purpose of this letter is is to introduce you and briefly summarize your educational background. So it applies to those job seekers or to those who are searching for a job. So the third one we have a letter of recommendation. This type of letter is this type of letter is something that is also referred to as a reference letter or serves as your reference. So so you can always choose who will be the author of this of your letter as long as it has a strong educational background or someone that is in higher position, and also you have known that particular person. And the purpose of this letter is to endorse you or to endorse someone for a job or position. This applies to those who seek for a job and to those who are seeking for a higher position, and it can also applies in some institutions, universities that requires a letter of recommendation so that it will complete your requirements or your qualifications. So the fourth one, we have the letter of resignation. So this letter is simply informed about your that you will be resigning, and also it formalizes your departure from your current job or position. So it is not good also that you just leave the company without informing formally to the employer. So you have to write a letter of resignation. So the purpose of this letter is to create a positive relationship with the employer. And the last letter we have is the termination letter. So the purpose of this letter is to formal it is a formal notice to inform an employee that you will be dismissed from the current employment. So so the employer must be the responsible to write this letter or to formally inform the employees. And to tackle more about the types of business letter and its styles and parts, it will be discussed to Nick.
Thank you. Thank you, Timiche. Okay, for the parts of the on how to make the business letter. Okay, next please. As you can see the sample, the right side, no? The heading or the upper center of the on how to make a business letter is no. It contains the return address with the date on the last line. Sometimes it is necessary to include a line before the date with a phone number, fax number, or email address. After the heading is the inside address. This is the address you are sending your letter to. Be sure to make it as complete as possible so it gets to its destination. And always include title names if you know them, such as Mr., Mrs., or Doctor. And also be sure to skip a line after the heading and before the recipient's address or inside address. Then skip another line before the greeting. After the inside address is the salutation or the greeting. It is always formal. It often begins with dear and the person's name. Once again, be sure to include the person's title if you know it. And if you are unsure about the person's title or gender, then just use their first name. For example, you would only use the person's first name if the person you are writing to is Max and you do not know whether they identify as male, female, or non-binary. And the salutation always ends with a colon. After that is the body. The body is the meat of your letter. Be sure to leave a line between each paragraph. However, no matter the format, be sure to also skip a line between the salutation and the body, as well as the body and the complementary clause. The next part is the complementary clause. It is a short and polite remark that ends your letter. The clause begins at the same justification as your date and one line after the last body paragraph. Capitalize the first word of your closing. For example, the word thank you. You should capitalize the first letter of thank you. And leave 4 lines for a signature between the clause and the sender's name. A comma should always follow the closing. And after the complementary closing is the signature. The signature line skip at least 4 lines after the clause for your signature, no? And then type out the name to be signed. If you are printing this letter out and sending it by mail, you will sign your name in pen. This line will include your first and last name and often includes a middle initial, although it is not required. You may put your title beforehand to show how you wish to be addressed, like Miss or Mrs. Then the signature should not other than blue or black ink. In addition, for the enclosures, if you have any idea enclosed documents such as resume, you can indicate this by typing enclosures. 1 line before the listing, you also may include the name of each document. And the standard font for business letters is New Times Roman, size 12. However, fonts that are there to read such as Arial may be used. That's all for the parts of the on how to make a business letter. Next, please. There are different types of business letter, no? Different styles or format. No? For the modified block style, the heading, complementary clause, the signature, and the identification are all aligned to the right, and the are aligned to the left. First sentences of the paragraph are indented. For the block style, all typed content is aligned with the left margin and no indentation. And the last style, which is the semi-block, your address, date, but take note, the date can actually go on either the left or the right side. I repeat, your address, the date, the closing, signature, and printed name are all indented half of the page. So that's all for the styles of a business letter. May I call on Shaine Mae to proceed the next.
Thank you for that, Mr. Perez. So moving on, we already know the parts as well as the application of business letters. Now I will be tackling about the essential qualities of an effective business letter. As you can see in the presentation, a person should always maintain the quality of the business letter. The qualities of a business letter make it presentable. It becomes easy for a person or an organization to imprint an impression onto the others. I want you to bear in mind that business letters are forms of communication in the corporate world. With that, I want you to take this seminar to heart. Next slide, please. So the first essential quality of a business letter is the content should be clear and simple. The contents or the message should always be direct to the point and, of course, concise and concrete. And another thing is that it should be accurate, in, especially the details, talking about the statistics, earnings when we talk about the numbers, it should be accurate. Next is complete. The information included in the message or the body of the letter should be complete and therefore understandable and relevant to the topic. And of course, when talking about formality, we should always be cautious. And the format should be neat, as mentioned by Mr. Perez. She mentioned that he already mentioned the or he already mentioned the black styles of the letters. So next slide, please. So the outer quality of a business letter means the quality of its outer appearance. The outer look of the letter must be catchy and impressive. So talking about, we should use the materials that aren't like, we should use materials that are not, should we call it substandards. First is the size of paper. It should be in a letter size, and of course the quality of the paper. Some papers are like have some papers that have dark colors, and we should always use the whiter one. Next is the folding of the letter. There is always an accurate way of folding a letter, and of course the envelope. We should use the legal size envelope with the address with the address at the back. Next slide, please. So in constructing a formal or a business letter, the three steps as shown in the presentation should be considered. First is the construction of the letter, the organization of the thought. Next is next if you already made your letter and already made an effective letter, then the step 2 and 3 will follow. You get accepted to your dream job. When we talk about get accepted to your dream job means this this letter should balik. This letter this talks about, for example, the shall we call it the application letter, and then have a happy and fulfilled life if there's a and next please. So with all those qualities I mentioned, I want you to take this seminar to heart, and may I call in Ms. Orozco for a brief message since we are about to end.
Okay, so thank you for that, Ms. Mamolo. In this slide, we can see that the discussion about the business letter is not just an discussion, but it is the smallest step into becoming successful in life. So step 1, construct a well-written business letter. If you are able to construct a well-written business letter, then there is a possibility that you will get accepted to your dream job. And if you are accepted to your dream job, then you will have the life that you have always been dreaming of. For our concluding activity, may I call on Ms. Parantar to present our activity.
So hi, good evening. I am Adelyn Mae Parantar, one of the speakers in today's event, and I'm here to discuss about the importance of knowing how to create a business letter. So first, I would like to remind you that business letters are more formal than business email. So let's start with the importance of knowing how to create a business letter. The first important is that it maintains a proper relationship. It is not always possible for any business or organizations to reach to any person in particular. This will cost any business. Here, the business corresponds will be a rescue for any business. And it helps in maintaining the proper relationship between the parties. And it's glitching. So let me continue. It helps in maintaining the proper relationships between the parties. Business correspondence strengthens the business. It also helps in the internal communication, and it makes communication within the organization more clear and precise. Next is it serves as evidence. Any written form of communication serves as evidence. A business correspondence helps the person in a business to keep a record of all the facts. And these written records will serve as an evidence. Third is that it creates and maintains a goodwill. It helps in creating and maintaining goodwill between a business and a customer. Any letters to inquire, complaint, suggestions, or feedbacks helps a company to grow and maintain goodwill. Fourth is it is inexpensive and convenient. It is cheap and convenient form of business communication. Next is it is formal communication. A business communication serves as a formal communication between two persons. It may be a seller and a buyer, and it can be between an employees and the employer. The language used is formal and logical, and it also helps in removing the ambiguity and the doubts of the person involved in the business. And it is formal communication in business that is followed and acceptable. Next is it helps in the expansion of the business. A business correspondence helps a business to achieve the set goal. It also ensures the expansion of a business with no waste of time and proper utilization of manpower and resources, and a business can expand. And another one is that, as what I've said earlier, that business letters are more formal than business emails. They communicate something more official in a business situation. And it is important to write business letters correctly because the impression you create depends on how you write them. And everything you write must be tailored in a proficient, comprehensive, and informative way. Thus, the receivers will clearly understand your message. In addition, business letter also create a persona of the company reflecting its value and professionalism. So as what we discussed earlier, I will give you an assignment and I want you to create a business letter and upload it to the drive that I will be sending, that I will be giving, so that would be all about the business letter. And thank you so much for lending us some time. We hope that you have learned something. That would be all. Thank you.